Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. My name is Nimesh and Radia, and I'm your host. I always love starting every episode by saying thank you. I feel so blessed with this podcast. The impact is having the fact, we get to use our voices and channel what information is needed for this collective, share whatever knowledge we have. I feel blessed with the messages we receive on a weekly basis. Just people find this podcast when they need it most, and that truly lifts my heart. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you're a regular listener, thank you for coming back. If you're new to this podcast, welcome, and let us know if you have feedback. And I am an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. And I love what I get to do. I get to hold people's space while you transform, while you become your truly authentic self. I love the magic moments working with clients and helping you understand why you're here, releasing the things you're holding on to. I get to do that on a daily basis, and I feel so blessed. I have so many other things on the go too. I have a new membership program, which is a great way of connecting. I also have if you're based in the UK, I have a retreat coming up in Glastonbury. I'll include the links in the show notes. It's around spring equinox. Again, a beautiful way to connect. So this podcast won't be where it is today without my beautiful and stunning co-host, introducing the amazing, the stunning, the healer extraordinaire, Stacey Brown. Stacey, over to you. Please introduce yourself. You know I got to do it, right?
Welcome, friends. It's so good to be back with you. I'm really looking forward to another episode. My name is Stacey. I'm an intuitive. I do readings for people from all around the world. I am also an Akashic record reader and a spiritual coach and mentor. And this podcast is a passion project and something that we really look forward to bringing you episodes every week. I also want to mention that I have a book out called Journey to Soul Center, Discovering the Gift of Surrender. It's available on Amazon and Audible. If you haven't checked it out, I really encourage you to check it out. I'm looking forward to this episode today, Nims. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just, it's really interesting. My voice, I don't know if those who have heard the last couple of episodes, my voice, I kind of had a sore throat and a cough. I had a cold and kind of a lingering cough, and kind of coming to the end of that, and the cough's a lot less. But my throat was much better too. But as I start this episode, I can definitely feel my throat. So if my voice is different, if I feel a bit more croaky, hopefully you guys can still hear. We're all going through a physical shift, right? So, I really feel like everybody's going through something, and my physical body's definitely going through shifts over the last couple of weeks. And the thing to bear in mind, and we'll talk about it in this episode actually, but the thing that to bear in mind is a lot of the time our physical body is the last to catch up when we do some healing. So if you're feeling something physical, if you've been going through something it's like, different types of flus and etc. going around right now, be gentle with yourself, be kind. And so yeah, Stacey, to answer that question. Hopefully you can hear me well. My voice is coming in and going, which is a bit weird. But what are we talking about today? So again, we always pick the topic, especially with me and Stace, quite near recording the episode. Just because we want it to be around current energy, and the energy is shifting so much. But we also want to keep it different. And so today we're talking about when growth no longer feels like healing. And what do we mean by that? So, through this phase, we've been doing so much healing, so many closing of cycles. It's almost a habit now, right? Of constantly healing and constantly working on ourselves and doing this. Now, I'm not saying healing is done, by the way, because healing is a lifetime thing. But sometimes growth happens. Isn't that a radical concept, right? Where we grow, we change, we shift, without needing to fix something or heal something. And sometimes, when we don't have a pain, when we don't have something to heal, we feel like something's wrong because we've trained ourselves in this way. We feel stagnant. We don't feel like we're on purpose. We feel like something's missing. But what if that? What if that is a way of being? Obviously, there's going to be times you still need to do healing. But what if we're entering into a phase where actually expansion just comes, growth just comes without needing to fix anything? How would that even feel? Would that feel a little bit different, a little bit alien to us? And you know, as humans, sometimes we manifest problems just to fix them. It's like we hit this glass ceiling. It's just like things are going so well, but you know what? I know it's going to change at some point. It's almost like we manifest things going wrong. Because what if everything is perfect? What if everything is going really well? What does that even feel like? Look, we've just been through so much intense change. 2025 was really a year of closing cycles, a year of stagnation, a year of the snake. We're still in the year of the snake, by the way, but it's, I do feel like the energy is changing and shifting. So this is why we pose the question. What if growth no longer feels like healing? What if growth just happens and we continue to grow without needing to fix anything? Stacey, how does that make you feel? Is that something you can resonate with? I know you've been going through a lot of shifts and I know things are changing, right? So how does it feel when I say to you, you know what? You can grow naturally, and maybe there's nothing that needs healing right now. How would that make you feel?
So I absolutely feel like this is a season of transformation and growth for me. Lots of, changes happening in my world, but I don't know that I necessarily feel like it's a healing time. I just feel like I'm growing and shifting. And I think that's a beautiful space to be in when you can just embrace what's happening without trying to overanalyze it or dig into it too much, and just enjoying the experience of what's new and fresh and happening. And I feel like this season has been that for me. I feel like I've gone through so much healing in the last few years, and it's been really intense. There's been a lot for me to focus on. For those who are new listening to the podcast, I went through a family trauma several years ago, almost 7 years ago now. And my 17-year-old son was in a massive crisis. And it turned my world upside down and inside out. And it's taken me a significant amount of time to recover from that and to rebuild and to see my life differently. And so for the first time in a long time, I feel like this season isn't necessarily about me healing per se, but more about me growing and expanding. And I'm just kind of enjoying being in that space and not being hyper vigilant or focused on a particular area, but just taking in the experiences as they're coming to me. And this is new. This is new territory for me. I'm used to things being very intense. I'm used to confronting that next layer of what I need to uncover. And for me in this season, I feel like it's become very clear that I'm just supposed to be embracing, right? I'm just supposed to be taking in the experiences that I'm having and allowing them to be just that, experiences, instead of what do I need to heal, fix, do. I'm focused more on being. It's a really beautiful space to be.
And that's so good advice for right now is the more we can just be present in whatever we're going through, be present in the present moment, the more power we have. And what if we're moving into a phase where we get to spend time integrating, we get to spend time, we work so hard. What if this is now a phase of enjoying and integrating the work that we've done. This is what I said at the beginning, is like, sometimes it's our expectations of what healing looks like. It's our expectations of what growth looks like. And we've gone through so much. So it's only natural to expect it to continue. By the way, I'm not saying that, the intensity and the energy of the shift that we're going through right now is gonna get let. I'm just saying, what if it's different? What if it's allowing you to grow? I had a client of mine yesterday, and we were talking about the energy of 2026, and he's like, well, I feel like, my kind of focus for 2025 was, surviving. And he's like, well, my word for, 2026 is thriving. And so maybe that's a great question to ask our listeners. Do you feel right now you are surviving or thriving, or somewhere in the middle? And the other question I'd ask our listeners is, are you so used to doing healing and working on yourself and trying to fix something, healing? Do you even know what it feels like not to be working on yourself and to allow yourself to integrate, to be? Because we've gone through so many shifts. Have we spent time getting to know this version of ourselves? And, I talk about it all the time, get to know this version of ourselves. And I don't, maybe we should emphasize a bit more, because we do take ourselves for granted. We do compare ourselves to the old version of ourselves. We do get used to being things a certain way. But this really is a time to try new things and to really spend time integrating. Winter is such an interesting energy, right? It's cold. We were just talking about before we start to record, Stacey's talking about ecologies. And it is that time to be warm, to integrate, kind of like have not wanting to spend a lot of time outside. And I would still recommend you spend some time in nature, but I get it. Depending on where you are in the world, it's not easy to spend time in the outside. So what if this is a time from a shift from healing wounds to actually embodying the wisdom? Because you've learned so much, you've gained so much wisdom. Have you really integrated it? Have you, for example, journaled on how much you've grown during this period? What shifted? What can you do to lift your soul? And recognizing, Stacey was just talking about it, recognizing that, sometimes we always kind of shift in closing cycles so quickly, and that's the phase we've been in. But recognizing that peace, that maturity, taking time to integrate. Because otherwise, I do feel that we will manifest problems because we're so used to it. And it's like the universe will be like, okay, you know what? If you want to do something, you want to fix something, we'll give you something to fix. Isn't it interesting that? And again, I feel the energy of what's coming as well. And I do feel like we're going to continue going through loads of shifts. But what if those shifts are not as painful? Don't require healing? What if we've done so much inner child healing that right for now our inner child's fine? Inner child's in a good place. Again, I'm not saying that stuff's not going to come up and healing is not going to be required in the future, but I'm challenging us to not get so used to always wanting to fix ourselves, because spiritual journey is interesting, right? Spirit, when we start the spiritual journey, we think, oh my God, there must be lots of things we need to do. We start learning about the spiritual side and kind of soul contracts and karma and all these other things. And it's like, okay, we must have so much work to do, but it's just, sometimes you got to stop and integrate. Sometimes you got to stop and get to know this version. How do you know what you're trying to manifest when we're in this phase of completion? When the universe just gives us a glimpse of what's coming, but doesn't give us the whole picture. This isn't constant transformation, isn't really the goal of spiritual evolution. Yes, we transform, but if you look at your life, it's probably come in blocks where you experiencing something quite intense, quite maybe some sort of grief, something transformational. which has pushed you to change. But then there's always a period of slowness, right? What feels stagnant. But you are evolving, you are growing. And so what if this is after rapid growth, this is a phase of becoming steady? So Stacey, let me ask you, how are you handling this phase? What are you doing differently than the person, ever since I've known you, honestly, there's been massive shift after massive shift after massive shift. And, I've seen you and how strong you are and how much you've had to deal with. But I do wonder, would you even know what it looks like to be in a phase where actually you're not constantly battling with healing or something along those lines? And you can actually just enjoy the fruits of your labor. Enjoy some time integrate. How does that even feel?
I would say it feels very foreign because this has been years of me going through a shift and a transformation and another layer of healing. And this part of my journey feels a lot less about that and a lot more about using the lessons that I've learned and applying them to the areas of my life that I need to. And it's it's weird. It's a weird space to be in when you've been so vigilant about your healing and so committed to uncovering that next layer of whatever you need to in order to be the healthiest version of you, to go through a season where you're still evolving and growing, but it looks different. This is a time where I'm starting to settle into a new schedule and a new routine and embracing that. And it feels for me like this season is about me taking the things that I've learned and applying them versus trying to go even deeper in my healing journey. And I think a huge part of it is I feel called in an even bigger way to serve and to help people in a different way than what I have been. For those who don't know, I just took on another job and I'm going to be working a couple days a week in a salon doing hair and Reiki. And for the last, 5 years, my life has been consumed with my own healing and helping other people on their healing journey in a different way. And now I'm going to be working with people in person and experiencing something different. And it just feels like there have been all of these lessons over the last several years, right? Like big lessons that I've been learning about myself. And it feels like now I get to apply them. So it's not so much about me healing as it is about me applying the healing that I've learned and used in order to help other people. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't feel stagnant or sedentary because I'm still going to grow through that process. It just looks a little different now. And it's taking me some time to get used to it because I'm so used to this intensity with things. And this season doesn't have that same level of intensity. It's different. It feels different to me. And so I'm just working on embracing it, as challenging as it might be, and redirecting myself back to what I know every time I start to feel like I'm getting derailed. And I think that sometimes people can look at seasons like this and feel like they're sedentary or like something isn't happening. But I absolutely feel like something is happening. It just looks different than what it has. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about, right? It's that, I I feel all through 2025, I kept talking about this period continues to be intense, this period. And it's almost like I was expecting at some point to say, actually, you know what, this period doesn't feel as intense. And I still feel like we're in the phase of completion and not new beginnings yet. For me, I feel I always feel like new beginnings around spring, but spring equinox. So what if we use a different word, right? What if this is more expansion? Intensity is things changing so quickly. Cycle after cycle, and it's almost like we were going through so much that we couldn't see the wood for the trees. And it's like, as you talk about, we've changed so much, we've learned so much. And what if we now get a chance to apply it? Enjoy all these things around journaling, around meditation, around being present, around holding space for people. All of that. What if now we actually get to enjoy that? But it is different. It is, unfamiliar. And it feels weird at times. It's that, I have to say, for me, I've always, used the phrases like we're on a healing journey. I do feel like we're on a healing journey. But just being on a healing journey doesn't mean we're always healing. Sometimes we're integrating, sometimes we're expanding. And there's different phases. And as humans, we love to give labels to things, right? And we also want to know, okay, what's this season? Okay, if we're entering into a season of expansion and just being, what does that mean? Because we still want to know what's coming next. I still feel there's a tsunami of change coming. But what if this is that calm before the storm? What if this is an opportunity for us to re-energize? Get to know this version of ourselves and just, again, not to scare people, but just be prepared for whatever's coming next. So again, let me ask the question: Do you, as a listener, feel you're still holding on to the identity of healing, the identity of always being thinking that we were on a healing journey? And let me preface: I'm not saying we don't have healing to do. I'm not saying the triggers are not going to come up and you don't have to. But what if there's more time needed on integrating, getting to know this version of you? How do you feel about this? I feel like I'm going to do a quick process to connect our listener to that new version of themselves. But how are you feeling about this new version of you? Do you feel like your energy is different, your vibration is different? How does it feel to you?
I feel like this is a very new season for me. And so it feels like a different version of me showing up. I have always dealt with pretty crippling anxiety, and I've talked about that on the show before. And this season feels a lot more peaceful and calm, and like I'm being called to go a little bit deeper, but in a different way. And I feel like I'm really being challenged to apply what I've learned, if that makes sense. Like it just feels like a season of taking all the lessons and all the struggles and the heartache and just pouring myself into this new season in the best way that I can. And what a beautiful thing that we get the opportunity to do that. And I think some of us put a lot of pressure on ourselves that we constantly have to be healing, right? That we constantly have to be this work in progress. But what if we could take a pause from that work and just enjoy being who we are and celebrating how far we've come? I think sometimes we get so consumed with the next thing. It's the way that our world works, right? We're that way with everything. Like move on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And this season for me feels like, no, just be in the present moment. Just embrace what's happening and soak it in for the experiences that you're having, and relish in the hard work that you've put in. We put in so much effort to awareness and understanding who we are and why we're here and putting intention behind the things that we're doing. And sometimes I feel like we just have to soak it all in and step back and say, okay, I've done so much work. Let me embrace this new season for what it is and see what happens. And from that space, I believe more growth and expansion will come because we're open to it.
Yeah, I love it. I couldn't agree more. It's just but it's understandable for us to have built this muscle where we feel like things are always changing. We've always got to do healing. For me, it feels like this cycle began in 2018. So we've trained ourselves to be on constant healing, constantly in this intense go mode. But I do, I do feel like this is the calm before the storm. I do feel like as I talk about the planet's going to continue to go through a shift, but this for me is a time to declutter, a time to trust your intuition, who in your world is lifting you up, and who trusting. And again, maybe a lot of the internal work has happened, and now maybe you've got to. Because I always say everything in your external is a result of your internal. So what if now you've got to integrate all the work that you've done, but also apply it externally? It's exactly what Stacey's talking about. But that could look like decluttering. It could look like really building your soul family and letting go of those people that no longer hold you up. The reality is when we go through phases, the people we need in a previous phase may be different to the people we need in the next. And there's no wrong or right about that. It's just the reality. It's just we're going through so many accelerated cycles that just getting to know this version of you. And sometimes you do that by also letting go of the thing that the old version of you was holding on to, including the people. So Stacey, I was thinking, let's do a quick process of just getting used to and getting to know this new version of ourselves. How does that feel to you?
I think that's a great idea.
I'm gonna keep it short and simple. And if you're driving, you don't need to do this. But if you're in a position to, become stationary. Ideally, sit down. Close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath in and a breath out. Take another really deep breath in and a breath out. And just feel your energy, feel your vibration. And I just want you to breathe in new knowledge, new information, new awareness about who you are. And breathe out anything you're holding on to. And then from this space, I just want you to feel your energy on the inside. Take a moment just to feel every part of you. Starting off with your head, the top of your head is your crown. How does your crown feel? Does it feel different? Your crown represents your connection to source. How does your third eye feel? Third eye is in your forehead, and it kind of gives you the vision of who you are. How does that feel? Does it feel different when you connect to that part of you? Now connect to your throat. How much are you speaking your truth? For me, connect to your heart. How much more love do you feel in your heart? How much do you love you even more? Could you love you even more? Moving into your stomach, solar. How does that feel? How does solar and sacral feel? It's all about change and shifting, and a lot of the change that we've been through has been in your sacral. And how does that feel? Does it feel calmer? Does it feel more solid? And then moving here, how does your base chakra feel? Which is, it's the foundation of everything. If you don't have a strong base, then everything else starts to wobble. And honestly, we've been wobbling for a while now. But how does your base feel? Could your base feel solid? Feel your energy and your vibration. Feel how it's different. Allow yourself to feel every part of you. Just breathe that in. And now feel the energy around you. Maybe feeling the energy of your guides or anything you can feel around you at this time. How does all of that feel? Now feel the people around you. Do they feel different? Do you feel different about the people around you? From this space, if you could make one decision to declutter, to remove somebody from your life with ease and grace, to spend time to get to know this version of you, what's the one thing you can agree in this space? Maybe you just do this more often. You just close your eyes and feel the energy inside you and around you. And get to know this version of you. Don't take him or her for granted. You might be surprised. You've done all this work over these last few years. What if it really, as Stacey was talking about, it's time for you to celebrate this version of you. It's time for you to enjoy this. You've worked so hard. And I hear the phrase, I'm tired. What if in this space you feel the energy of who you are? Allow yourself to feel that energy of who you are. Know that you're needed, you're wanted, you're a powerful being. Feel your energy. And whenever you're ready, just come back into your body and open your eyes. So yeah, just come back. How did that feel to you? I hear so much recently about I'm tired. I'm tired. A lot of people are tired. A lot of people are going through physical ailments, like I was talking about at the beginning. So again, what if this is a time to let your body rest? So Stacey, you froze there for a second, which is why I carried on. How did that process feel to you?
Really good. Very healing.
And if I said to you that, because I hear quite a lot recently that a lot of people are ill, a lot of people are, feeling tired, heavy. Does that resonate with what you're hearing from people? And do you feel that people are giving themselves time to rest, time to integrate, time to just integrate everything we've been on? Is that something you're hearing too?
I'm definitely hearing people say that they're fatigued, that they're tired, that they're drained. A lot of that has been kind of going around. A lot of sickness too, which is the body's way of forcing you to stop and pause. And so I've been seeing a lot of that across the board. I know you've been dealing with some sickness. I just think the message has been get still and pause and rest and rejuvenate yourself. And I've been seeing that with a lot of clients, and myself included, right? Just feeling that feeling of needing to fill my cup back up before I go out there into the world. And I'm just trying to be really intentional with my time and how I'm spending it and what I'm doing in order to make sure that I am getting that rest that I so desperately need. But it's been something I've absolutely been hearing from people struggling in a variety of ways, whether it's, physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion, emotional exhaustion. People are feeling depleted. And I think that that's the perfect time to say, okay, I'm not going to be focused on my healing journey per se. I'm going to focus more on just being and allowing myself the space to just be comfortable with who I am and where I am now and embracing how far I've come. And I think a huge part of this is sometimes we get so focused on like the next phase of the healing journey that we forget about how far we've come. And so I think part of this is taking that time to reflect and see that you've accomplished a lot already, right? And that there's no timeline for you have to get this done. This is a lifelong journey. And so pacing yourself makes sense.
So, what would your advice be to people, Stacey, about navigating this phase?
Well, I think the first thing is being patient with yourself. I think we can be so hard on ourselves about what we think we're supposed to do or what we think we're supposed to accomplish or how things are supposed to look. And I think when we let go of the supposed to and we just embrace what is, that's where the peace comes from, is being okay in this moment. Maybe we don't have all the answers. Maybe we don't know exactly what's coming next, but we decide to rest in that space anyway and say, okay, I don't know what's coming next, but I'm going to trust this phase is for my highest good. And I really feel like so many of us are doers and we want to take action all the time, that this can be hard for people to figure out. But it doesn't mean that it's impossible.
So, Stacey, I don't know if it's just on my side, but I think there's maybe having some Wi-Fi issues. But yeah, I know, I agree. I mean, it's such an interesting time. I mean, just then don't get us wrong. We're still in that phase of completion. So maybe there is still, some cycles to close and some healing to be done. And we're still integrating, and it's okay. And this episode isn't about rushing past that, but it's also allowing yourself to be different, being gentle with yourself, not always wanting to fix things, not always wanting to rush forward. And how do you handle things like this? I mean, Stacey has, having Wi-Fi issues, she's had to drop. And I'm going to complete this episode, but we could have quite easily, got upset with that and just, we're going to have to re-record and all that sort of stuff. But why? I feel like there's a lot of good things that come through in this episode. But what if we are, and I talk about new beginnings, and what if this, as we come into the end of this this phase of completion, what if I'm just letting see if Stacey can come back in, but what if this this phase is just continue to integrate, continue to get to knowing this version of you, and allowing yourself to be different. It's just an interesting, I'm going to make a conscious effort to try and use different phrases. It's like, I don't feel like we're done healing. Anyone that says they're done healing, I always smile because I feel like the universe is always going to keep us honest. Yes, I'm not going to say things like the healing phase is over, but what if healing is softening? What about the work that we're doing is settling? What if we're integrating? And really, the phrase I've been using the most recently is to just be. There's power in this moment. There's power because how often do we reference the past? I used to be like this. And this phase that we've just been in has been so jarring. It's been so painful. It's been emotional, and again, this energy's been feeling intense. I've been feeling it physically, but I do feel calmer. And what if this calmness is healing? It's neutral energy. And what are you noticing about things different around you? Are you noticing the magic moments? I've been talking to Stacey recently about appreciating and just enjoying the magic moments. And then, so Stacey, I know you dropped off. I think you're back. And as you know, I just decided to carry on rather than restart. Do you have any journal prompts that you want to share with our listeners?
I think it would be really interesting to sit with your journal and just ask yourself where you are on your healing journey right now. Are you in a space of integrating the lessons and being still with yourself, or are you in a space of growth and expansion? And just write about it and see what comes up. There is so much power in journaling, my friends, and sitting with yourself and your ideas and your thoughts and your feelings and really seeing what comes up. Are you in a season where maybe you need to pause and take a step back and maybe integrate the lessons that you've been learning? Take some time with your journal, see what comes up, allow yourself a space to really fully evaluate where you are right now. I think some of us are in a season where we're being called to practice kind of a pause almost and allow ourselves the space to really apply what we've learned in this last several years. And at the beginning of a new year, there's no better time to shift the way we're doing things. So I encourage you to take some time and do a little bit of writing and see what comes up.
Great advice. And yeah, it's interesting. This is a confusing phase, and I was just thinking about as you were talking, Stacey, that everybody's in a different phase of completion. So wherever you're at, it's perfect. And the biggest advice I can give is allow things to be different. Because again, sometimes we're so used to things being chaotic. We're so used to things, having very little control over what comes next. So, like I said, I still feel we're in the phase of completion. But as you get through near the end of it, what if it is more gentle? What if you're not being asked to move on, but you're being invited to notice how far you've come? And to let everything you've been through to settle in and to integrate. And what if this is a time to be proud of how far you've come? I would also take some time to prepare, think about where you need to declutter, think about where you need to create space. Again, think about those people that maybe you've outgrown, because I feel like we've got to create space for new souls to come in. Maybe it's time for you to change careers and try something different. Maybe have a side hustle. It's a really, really interesting time of being something different, I guess is the best way of putting it. I guess just a few announcements. We have our full moon webinar on the 1st of February, which is the full moon. So do join us. It's a 90-minute healing. It's free. The link is in the show notes. We do it once a month. It's our way of giving back. I am planning to do my first solo retreat. I've done lots of retreats before, but never solo. In Glastonbury in the UK. I love Glastonbury. It's such beautiful energy. It'll be 3.5 days around spring equinox. For me, spring equinox is much more of the new year than the calendar new year. So I just felt, with this shift, when all the talk I do about new beginnings, I just felt the energy of the equinox is a beautiful time for new beginnings. So if you're in the UK, reach out. I can send you some information. Also have the membership. Both me and Stacey do mentorship as well. You can work with us together individually, book a discovery call, book an Akashic record reading. There's so much we have going on right now that it's our way of giving back. It's our way of doing. And if you live in the area that Stacey lives, Stacey, remember where that is. If you're looking for a conscious hairdresser, some in-person Reiki, then reach out to Stacey. What area were you in, Stacey? Remind me.
I'll be in Timonium, Maryland.
Timonium, Maryland. I knew it was Maryland. I just didn't know where. But if you're local to that area, then you're looking for some Reiki, then reach out to Stacey too. So many beautiful things happening right now. This is a beautiful time to be on this planet. Your soul chose to be here, and yes, you may be tired. You may be wondering, where's the light at the end of the tunnel, and hoping it's not a train coming towards you. Just joking. But we are sending you so much love. We love you guys so much. We love hearing from you. Send us a DM. If you have any ideas or things you want us to cover, then let us know. Let us know what you thought about this episode. Please do please do comment. Review the episode. It really does help. Share the episode with others and let us know what you feel and think. Sending you so much love and light. Stace, love you so much. Thank you for being here. I'm coming back even with your internet problems. And thank you. Sending everyone so much love and light. Bye for now.